All right, so we're going to talk about how to create a solar system. Let's start off with a new file, or you can do file new if that doesn't show up. Print. We're going to choose landscape for our orientation, and let's go ahead and change our color mode to RGB color, and say OK, create. First thing that we always want to do when we create a new document is we want to save it. So we're going to go to File, Save As. Make sure it's not on your computer. You should not see the white. Instead, make sure it says Save to Creative Cloud. And first and last name, Solar System. That way we can access this from any computer and we're not going to lose it. Now we're going to start with a rectangle and click and drag. And you can go bigger than your actual screen. Just grab it by those corners to resize it. Go to the selection tool so you don't accidentally create another one. Grab it right on that white dot. Oof, it's kind of hard sometimes. And then you can go a little bit bigger. Remember, we can zoom out with Alt and spinning the mouse wheel. And if you push your middle mouse button, you can move it around like this. Again, instead of spinning your mouse wheel, push it like a button. We're going to change the fill by double-clicking over here. And we're going to choose black. And if you don't see your swatches, just click on that. And let's set the stroke by double-clicking or clicking on that to none, which is this one. Now we're going to lock this by going up to our layers. Choose this little bracket right here. And then right next to the eyeball, we're going to lock it. That way we can't accidentally move it around. Next thing we're going to do is create an ellipse by clicking and holding on here. And I'm going to use the Shift key as I create this to make it a perfect circle. Let's go back to our properties. Now make sure that the stroke is not in front. Make sure the fill is in front. Otherwise this next part won't work. We're going to go to the gradient tool and we're going to click on it. Now let's go ahead and get our gradient options open. So to get these out, Window, Gradient, and just leave those up the entire time. Again, that's Window, Gradient. Now we're going to choose, instead of a linear gradient, a radial one, which makes it a circular gradient. And on the left side, we're going to have our light color. On the right side, we're going to have our dark color. So click on this one, and you should be able to double click right here and pick any color. If that's not working for you, try double clicking here instead, and then you can pick a swatch. Make this one black on the right side. Then come over here, double click, and choose a color. I'm going to choose that one. Now if you accidentally create a point down here, no worries. Just hit the garbage can, you can delete it. And my black is not looking very black, so I'm going to just double click on that and check it here. It doesn't feel like it's very black, so let me check here what's going on. Yeah, it's more like a gray, so I'm just going to pull it down there. I just double clicked there. It's fine though, either way. Now if you don't see this bar right here, just click on that box that says Edit Gradient. Let me get off of that so you can see. Edit Gradient, or go to your gradient tool right here. Now I'm going to, this white bar right here, this line, if I click on it, I can move my gradient and I can make it a little bit bigger by clicking on this little black dot. It's kind of tricky though, because your icon has to look like this for that to work. Now I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to hold down Alt and make a copy of it. I'm going to make this one smaller. Hold down Shift while you make a copy and resize so that it stays a perfect circle. Then we're going to double click here, pick a different color, and edit our gradient. And this time I'm going to move it that way. Let's do one more. I'm going to give this one a moon. I'm going to hold down Alt and move it to make a copy. I'm going to shrink it using Shift to make a perfect circle. And this time, I'm going to take the black and put it on this side, and the white and put it on this side. So I can get something kind of like a moon. Let's make this moon that color. And I'm going to go to Edit Gradient. Let me zoom in here. And I'm going to have it facing that direction, make that a little bit bigger. We got ourselves a moon. Let me go to my selection tool and make that a little bit smaller so it looks a little bit more like a moon. And I'm actually thinking this color isn't the best, so let me try. Select it first, double click. Let's try doing like more like a yellow. And you can see right now I can't double click on this. For some reason it's not doing that thing. So I can double click here. And I can even come in and kind of choose my own color, but it's a little tricky to use this thing. I like that one. Okay. So we got a moon. We got 2 planets. And they're all kind of like pointing to, let me rotate this one a little. The light source being down here. So let's create a sun. I'm going to take this one, hold down Alt to move it, make it nice and big using Shift. And I'm going to use this type of gradient called a freeform gradient to, and I see, you see these 2 points. They might be different colors. We're going to make a sun. So click on one of your dots here, and then double click right here. And you can choose like a yellow. Now another way to do this is just double click on the point, and you can pull your swatches up and pick an orange. So make one of them yellow, one of them orange. If you have 3 points, that's fine. If you have an extra point here, you can just delete it by clicking on the garbage can. So now, if I click on this orange one, anywhere I click, it's going to add the orange. Let's click on this yellow one. Anywhere I click, it's going to add yellow. Maybe you want to do a different color. Let's change this one to kind of a pale, lighter color. And now wherever I click, it's going to use that as well. Let's say I need more yellow. Click on the yellow, click again, and you get them. Let me grab this orange, bring it over here. Cool. Now remember, anything that doesn't fit on this area is going to get cut off. So when I go to View, Presentation Mode, I can see that's what it's going to look like. Now hit the Escape key on your keyboard. That's the top left one to get out of this. There we go. All right, the next thing we're going to do is add some stars. And we're going to use a special brush for this. So before we do that, I'm going to select these guys. And I'm going to use Shift to keep clicking on them all, to have them all selected. And then I'm going, oh wait, that's not right. I'm going to select them like this by just putting a big old box around them. And then I'm going to do a right click, group, in order to bring them together. Or you can do Control G. And now you see that they all become one layer. Let's come down here on this layer and create a little teeny tiny circle. Let's zoom in. About that big. And if you want to get the exact size, let's say 3 by 3 points. And you can pull this up by just clicking instead of dragging. 3 by 3. Make sure it's white on the inside and it has no stroke. If it does have a stroke, let's go to our properties panel. Just click on the stroke, set it to none, and make sure that the fill is white. Now we're going to apply an effect to this. So I'm going to go to my selection tool, click on it, make sure it's selected. Effects, distort and transform, pucker and bloat. Make sure this preview button is chosen, and then pull it back until it looks like a star, and you can pick whatever number you want. I'm doing 88, negative 88. And boom. Now let's zoom out and see how big that is. Okay, that's pretty small. Now if we wanted a bunch of stars, it would take a long time to fill that in, to get all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a brush from this. So make sure it's selected, make sure there's no stroke, and go up to Window and pull out your brushes. Now we're going to create a new brush from this by hitting the plus, and we're going to choose a scatter brush. We're going to call this scatter brush stars. We're going to set the size to random, the spacing to random, the scatter to random, and leave this rotation to fixed. Pull these all the way down, and then leave this one alone. Pull these other 2 all the way up, and click OK. Now, if we select this brush and we go to our paintbrush tool, I'm going to zoom out here for this. Draw all over the place. And just do this once instead of a bunch of times, because if you do it a bunch of times, you're going to have a bunch of layers and it gets kind of confusing. And then let it run. And it gives us a bunch of stars. You might find that those stars are a little bit too close together. And if that's the case, we can edit our brush by double clicking and say, you know what? I want them to be a little bit more far apart. So I'm going to bring my spacing up. And let's see what, if we hit preview, you can kind of see what that does. Let's bring the spacing way up. And I don't think that's going to do much. So I bring the spacing up. So really it's now not random, it's fixed, but it's at 1000%. So it's like a little bit more spread out. And I'll apply that to the strokes. Now I'm going to go to my layers, and you can see that that's the stars right there. So I'm going to pull them down below so that they're underneath my planets. Let's select those. And you might say, you know what, they're a little too intense, a little too bright. You can pull the opacity down if you want to. Make them a little less intense. And then go to your layers and let's lock it so that we can't accidentally select those. And we still have this one star, I can just delete it. Now, let's wrap it up by doing a couple more things to get a little creative. And I'm going to go ahead and lock my planets as well. I don't want to move them around, so I can just kind of move around without accidentally doing things to it. And I'm going to create a nebula. So I'm going to put it down here. I'm going to create a cylinder. Let's do a rectangle for this. Put it right here. And I'm going to put it down below. So it's on top of my stars, but below my planets. So maybe I can even put it like right there using the selection tool. Now I'm going to go to my gradient options, choose a freeform gradient. And this one is a little tricky. I'm going to set the opacity to 0, and I'm going to set the opacity here to 0. And if I click at this one, I already have one here, set it to 0. So all 4 squares. Now I'm going to click, and then I can pick a color. And maybe I'll set the opacity on that one so it's kind of see-through to like 50%. And then maybe I'll do another one. And let me pick a color, maybe like a blue. That's kind of a cool effect. Now you can see it. You can see there's like clearly a square right there. So maybe I don't want that. So I'm going to click on another point here and set it to 0 opacity. And that way it'll kind of keep it in the center. I'll do one more here in 0 opacity. And maybe one more. So that'll kind of keep it contained to that little area right there. So that we kind of created a galaxy. And you can get as creative as you want with this. You can add more colors. If it's too intense, you can pull the opacity down of the entire thing. So just to give it a little bit of color, put that wherever you want it. And then when you're done, lock that layer. Oh, it looks like my rectangle has a stroke on it. Let's set that to none. Go back to my layers and lock it. All right, that's a good start. Let's stop there and we'll do some more advanced stuff next time.